There is one experience every person who has ever lived will go through, and not a single one of them has ever come back to tell us what it's like. The final moments. The minute the brain begins to shut down. For all of human history, what happens in there has been a total mystery. But a few years ago, completely by accident, a machine was running at exactly the right moment, and for the first time ever, we caught a glimpse. Here's how it happened. In 2016, an 87-year-old man was in the hospital being monitored for seizures. Doctors had wired his brain to an EEG, a machine that records electrical activity, trying to understand his epilepsy. And while that machine was recording, something no one planned for happened. He had a heart attack, and he passed away, right there, with the EEG still running. It was a tragedy, but it also created something science had never had before. A complete recording of a human brain in the final minutes of life. Around 15 minutes of data, including the exact moment the heart stopped. So a team of neuroscientists, led by Dr. Zemmar, did something that had never been done. They looked at what a brain actually does as it dies. And what they found was not the silence everyone expected. In the roughly 30 seconds before and after his heart stopped, his brain did something extraordinary. It produced a sudden surge of a specific type of activity called gamma waves. Now here's why that matters. Gamma waves are not random noise. They are the signature of some of the most vivid things your brain ever does. Concentration, dreaming, and above all, memory retrieval. The exact pattern your brain produces when you recall a memory. Let that sink in. In the final seconds, his dying brain lit up with the precise activity of someone remembering their life. The researchers were careful, and they were honest. This is one person, one injured brain. We cannot ask him what he experienced, but the pattern was unmistakable. It raised a possibility that science had always dismissed as a myth, that the idea of your life flashing before your eyes might not be a metaphor at all. And here's the thing, this wasn't the first clue. It just confirmed something that had been quietly building for years. Back in 2013, a neuroscientist named Borjigin was studying the brains of rats at the moment of death. The assumption was simple. When the heart stops, the brain quickly goes quiet. Instead, she found the opposite. In the seconds after cardiac arrest, the rats' brains didn't fade. They surged. A burst of highly organized, synchronized activity at levels even higher than normal waking life. For a brief window, the dying brain appeared to become more active, not less, almost hyper-aware. And in 2023, her team studied dying human patients as they were removed from life support. In some of them, the same thing appeared. A surge of gamma activity, in the exact region of the brain associated with conscious experience and dreaming. The brain, at the very end, seemed to turn itself on one last time. This may finally explain something that millions of people have reported for centuries. Near-death experiences. Across every culture, the accounts are strangely similar. A feeling of deep peace, a sense of leaving the body, a tunnel, a light, and for many, a vivid replay of their own life. For a long time, these were dismissed as hallucinations or wishful thinking. But what if there's something else? What if they're what it feels like from the inside when the brain floods with that final surge? The peace, the memories, the light. Not the soul leaving the body, but the brain doing the most human thing it knows how to do. One last time. Remembering. Now, we have to be careful here. Science does not yet know whether any of this is consciously experienced. A surge of memory-related activity is not proof of a final lucid replay. These are early findings, from a small number of cases, and honest researchers are the first to say so. But the old picture, the one where the brain simply flickers off like a light switch, is almost certainly wrong. The end appears to be far more active, far more organized, and far stranger than anyone imagined. And there's a strange comfort buried in this. For a long time, we feared the final moment as nothing but a shutdown, a cold, empty switching off. But the science is beginning to suggest something gentler. That in those last seconds, as the outside world fades away, the brain may turn inward and return you to the place it keeps everything that ever mattered to you. The faces you loved, the moments that made you who you were. A lifetime, gathered up and played one final time in a quiet that no one outside can see. We still don't fully understand it. We may never completely understand it. The final experience is the one piece of being human that each of us will only ever know alone. But for the first time, we have a glimpse of what the brain is doing in there, and it is not giving up. Right up until the very end, it seems to be reaching for the people and the moments we never wanted to let go of.